Hey, pilot, welcome back to Ready for Pushback. I'm Nik Fialka. It's a great day to be on the show. Today I'm with my friend Tyler Wyman, and we have a great in-depth conversation about successes and failures in aviation. Tyler gives us some really raw knowledge about his flying and the failures that he's gone through, how he's overcome them. It's a great success story. I hope you enjoy it. So sit back, relax, let's get ready for Pushback.
Most pilots don't understand what career opportunities are available in the world of aviation. They're making career decisions based on advice from friends or posts on internet forums, meaning they are taking huge risks with their livelihood without having all the details. This podcast was created to help you understand the aviation industry so you can find your dream job. Let's get ready for Pushback. Here's your host and my dad, Nik Fialka.
All right, Tyler Wyman, what's up, my man? How are you?
I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
I'm great, man. It's been a long week of flying for me, a lot of north and south flying and a lot of long days. Yesterday I had like a 14-hour day, and we were just like at the flight duty period limits for the time that we reported. We had a gate return because there was something wrong with the aircraft. Anyway, that was my day. What have you been up to, man?
Yeah, different long flying days. I've flown south. So I fly out of South Valley Regional, so it's just south of Salt Lake's Bravo Airport. And yeah, I got to fly to Canyonlands on Monday, overfly the national parks. I went down to St. George last week. So yeah, long flight days for me without bathrooms on board.
That's wild. Talk to me about, give us a snapshot of where you are in your aviation journey. And I have a lot of questions about Utah flying as well.
So I got my private last year in July, and like most people, after the private, I think I was a little lost. It's like, okay, that was the hurdle. Once you get past that, what do? Do you stay at the same flight school? Do you go to one of these big ATP schools, that kind of stuff? A lot of people told me about flying clubs, things like that. And I got lucky enough in a group chat that a guy asked if I wanted to split some time. I didn't even really know what that meant. I just got my private. I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Ended up cutting the cost of the plane in half. And then that same guy told me about a flying club. We went and flew some of those planes, and then keep going with the same gentleman. He became a CFI, CFII, one of like the smarter pilots I've ever met. And so he's now my CFII, and I've been flying in the flying club and working with him, just flying with everybody and anybody that I can, that I feel safe with, at least. I'm at 275 hours. So yeah, I've kind of been going for like the real world learning, flying into all different airports, just trying to learn things. Also, obviously doing all the instrument training, meeting those requirements. But I've learned so much just by flying somewhere for cheap gas. Like we had to fly over mountain ranges and be like, okay, we got to watch out for, wind shear and mountain waves and things like that. And I was like, okay, these are the practical learning experiences that I want to be a safe pilot.
Everybody listening in Florida right now is thinking about, what is this guy even talking about?
There's got to be some high-rise buildings you can fly over,
Yeah, there's like this big bridge in St. Pete.
Exactly, yes.
So, okay, let's back up a little bit. Did you get your private at just kind of a local mom and pop near your hometown airport?
Yeah, so I think like most people, you don't know what you're looking for. And so I found the one that had the lowest rates, which, $10 less than the other flight schools. And it was a great flight school. They did really well, but it also has those same hurdles that every flight school has, where you've got maintenance issues and stuff. And you hear about all this, but you don't even know what you're looking for when you get in your private. You're just too inundated with all the information. So I completed my private there. I did not pass the private flight portion on my first go around. My soft field takeoff density altitude was pretty high. It was middle of July. I'm flying a Cherokee 140. I don't want to blame the, external factors. I definitely could have been better, but, sliding a little bit off center line as we're taking off. And then the the last maneuver, he had me do a slip to land to a regular landing. And I think I just got super excited that it was over, and I landed 50 feet short of the 1,000-footers. And man, I thought he was kidding. Like, we got back to the hangar and he was just shaking his head, and he was like, man, I'm so sorry. And I just started laughing, and like pat him on the shoulder. I'm like, yeah, haha. And he's like, no, actually, like, you didn't pass. And he was super nice about it. He was like, yo, me a flight in the pattern. And we went out 2 days later, and he got it done with me. Yeah, not the way you want to start off, having a check ride failure, but now it's that much, more important for me to make sure I'm prepared for all future check rides. So
yeah, for sure. Do you feel like the flight training that you had leading up to the private was quality?
Yeah, I did have to switch flight instructors halfway through, which I think it was great. It was on my accord, not because he left for the airlines or anything. First flight instructor was really nice, just different learning styles. Second flight instructor, I actually fly with him all the time now. We go around and we time build, and he's great. I do think that there's a difference between those ATPs and pilot mills and whatnot. I think that they are so focused on preparing you for check rides, which is great. And I think if I was willing to shell out 120 grand, I'd feel more confident about check rides every time. But I also am pretty happy with where I'm at, knowing that I'm a safe pilot and, the experiences that I've had. So
how do you know it's time to switch a flight instructor? That can be, you're 40, right? You're about 40.
Yeah, 39.
But
almost.
You're not, if I were 19 or 20 or something like that, and I had a 28, 30-year-old teaching me, that would be really hard. So what would you tell that person?
Yeah, the first flight instructor was 23, and I mean, everybody, all ages, can learn at all paces. I think that being a little bit older in life, you just kind of realize what your time is worth and what your money's worth. Yeah, it's money I've earned and money that my wife and I have saved together. So if I'm going to take a flight in the learning environment and it costs me $230 an hour, I look at that as that better be beneficial time. And I came back one time after a flight, and I think we practiced landings, and I just I wasn't getting it. And I was so bummed out. And my wife was like, how was your flight? And I was like, man, it was really rough. And she could just tell that I was down. And she's like, you're paying a ton of money. We have dedicated a lot of resources to this. And if you're not having fun with it, she's like, I know it's not always going to be fun, but you need to figure that out. And yeah, it happened to work out that the flight instructor went out of town. And so I got to find another flight instructor at the school. And then it was just oh, this is what it's like, working with a person that we're on the same page, So I started kind of saying what I wanted to do during the flight lessons. And this is I'm 20 hours in at that point. So, totally seasoned. Obviously, I know everything that I'm doing at 20 hours. But it's better than at 2 hours. So at least I knew that I was okay, this is a Part 61 flight school. They get paid when they fly. So I need to come with almost a curriculum of what I want to work on and talk to them after the flight and work on a debrief. Be how did that flight go? What do I need to work on? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've done both sides, right? I've been an instructor. My rules were different, though, because it was the Navy. But I've been an instructor and I've been a student. And I've been a student in the civilian world with my mentor, Michael Phillips. And when I went out to get my multi-engine rating, I had 2 weeks and I needed to get it done. And I hadn't flown in 5 years. And he met me where I was, but also I think that the what makes him a good instructor and made me successful was the fact that he saw how I learned and could instruct me so that it was most effective. And also, I'm really hard on myself when I mess up, which is all the time. So he had me switch over to another instructor. He chose another instructor to go fly 8 or 10 hours with for some instrument work. And it was another set of eyes. It was another set of inputs. And it made, I saw both and I kind of merged them both together into my head. And that I feel made me successful. I think if I'd have just flown with Michael or just flown with Omar, it would have been, I don't think I would have been successful. So that's a really interesting conversation piece about knowing if you need to switch, or if you're an instructor and you see somebody's not like getting everything, then helping them find somebody else that can help merge those two pictures together.
Yeah. And I mean, it's huge for an instructor to do that, right? I mean, they want the students, they want to get the hours. The typical kind of CFI route is like, okay, I've got this many students, I can fly this many hours in a day kind of thing. But yeah, I think when you see the ones that care and that are willing to do that, I mean, for example, my CFII right now, he's like, yeah, you should, a couple people in this club are double I's, MEI's, you know, they got all the letters after their name. And he's like, you should go fly with them and just get a different set of eyes on it. You know, I think having more input, and even just him saying that, you know, it's like, okay, you clearly, like, your goal is to get me to the point where I need to be, instead of just, you know, getting the hours yourself. It's a win-win.
Yeah, for sure. Talk to me about the feeling when you didn't pass your private.
Yeah, it was, you know, you tell everybody, I mean, it's the standard story. You're like, all right, I'm a pilot. I'm going to get my, you know, my Checkride. And people are like, cool, I don't even know what that means, you know, and they picture me flying like a 747 or something out of a, you know, 3,000 foot runway. And so it's just tough. And yeah, I think having failure, it was actually like a huge growth moment. I think nowadays, like, we don't really experience failure that much. I think that we choose the path of least resistance, and, you know, not to preach about it or whatever, but I do think that it's a very good, like, growth opportunity. If you feel like you're prepared, and then you go into this check ride and then something goes wrong, and it's like, okay, like, I got to reset and reevaluate. And the DP was super nice. He's a newer DP, but he even said, like, hey man, nobody cares about the private, you know, like, don't let this deter you from your goals. I'm like, well, yeah, like, easy for you to say from sitting there, you know? And it's like, I'm starting with, you know, 1 mark after my private. And so, yeah, it was rough to hear it, but I mean, I think I came home and, you know, for like an hour I sulked, and I was like, all right, like, I gotta get back at it. Flew the next day, and then flew the morning before the recheck, and did everything great. And then even on the recheck, man, it's like, it was 2 hours later than the morning flight. And like, that density altitude just came in hot, and I actually had to, like, abort the takeoff. So we were starting to do the soft field takeoff, and I actually hadn't aborted a takeoff before, and it just wouldn't get off the ground. And I was like, I'm pulling power. And he was just silent. I was like, man, did I just fail my recheck? I was like, that was all my tips money from bartending, you know? And I taxied back, and I did it. We flew the pattern, landed. It wasn't the smoothest landing, but I landed within the parameters. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if it was the right call, you know, to abort the takeoff. I was like, but I didn't feel safe. And he was like, that's exactly the right call. And he's like, I'm happy to, you know, certify you as a private pilot now. He's like, that, you know, I haven't had anybody do it on Checkride before. And he's like, it felt right for you to do that. So
good. So I want to talk to the people in Florida and sitting in whatever low part of America, like, your density altitude, right? Density altitude is the ability, the wing's ability to get a bite out of the air, right? The lower the DA, the bigger a bite the wing can get. And the higher the DA, like, the thinner the air is, the harder it is for that thing to get in the air. And that's, as a helicopter person, like, that is vital. Like, that is all vital, which is why mountain flying is so hard, because you have these high altitudes. You're probably, I mean, you're in Utah, so you've got to be a few thousand feet, right?
Yeah, the airport elevation is 4,600. So yeah, the density altitude was 7,800 that day in a 140 horsepower engine. So.
7,800, which means the engine's barely getting anything. The wings are barely getting anything.
Yeah.
Yes, it is tricky and hard. And the hotter it is, like, a hot high day is like the most dangerous. And so you have to be on your A game, and doing your private pilot at 4,000 feet, like, buddy.
Yeah. Luckily for my instrument, I'm flying a 182. So it's got more than enough power. There's no problem there. But
Lord have mercy. That's wild.
Yeah.
Well, good on you, man. Boarding a takeoff, you know, I just, like, go rounds are free. A board and takeoff is good call when you need to, man.
You hear it, but when you have to do it, you're always like, oh man, was that the right call? You know, but
yeah. Well, look, I'll tell you this. When you're at a major airline or in a regional, like, 2 days ago, I landed, and there was a rejected takeoff on the runway next to me while I was landing. And that, I mean, that was a big plane. That was a was a 757 with like 200 and something people on it. And they had to make that decision within a couple seconds, and you got to make that decision.
Yeah. And I think you even said like, I think you had a hard landing only once, I'm sure. But you said that like standing there and just having to face all the passengers when they're getting off the plane. And
I had a really firm landing. That's what it was.
Sorry. That's what I meant. Definitely.
I really found the ground right there.
Yeah. Which is good, Yeah. But yeah, it takes courage to like have to show your face, But I mean, if they understand like why it's done and that the whole reason is to keep you guys safe, I mean, that's the main point, right?
Yeah, for sure. I felt that yesterday when we had the gate return. We had a maintenance issue, and I looked at my FO, and we thought about it for a second, and I thought we got to do the safest thing first. And so we did the gate return. We were like 45 minutes behind all day long. Everybody was delayed, but we did the right thing first, and that kept everybody safe later. So
completely.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Dude, now you are time building. Talk to me. Tell me about the mind shift that from your PPL to going to the next thing. What are you thinking about?
Yeah. Like, where am I at? Like where's the path?
How do you choose it too? How do you make that decision? Because there's a lot of different options after you have your private.
Yeah, definitely. And, I don't know, big believer in like manifestation. Like if you want something to happen, you just got to put it out there. And hearing your podcast, other podcasts, talking to people, they said these magic words of a flying club. And last time I talked to you, I was on the wait list for a flying club, and it was an 18-month wait list. I think I'm still on that wait list somewhere. But instead, man, I got into this flying club, and like the guy who owns the planes is just the nicest. I think he's in his late 70s, and he gave me my high performance endorsement where we just went and flew, and I was like, what's VR? And like, I won't say his name, and it wasn't dangerous. And he was like, the plane flies when it wants to fly. He was such an old school pilot. And I was like, can you land the plane once and show me? He's like, no, you're paying for it. I don't want to take up your time. We did 2 pattern flights, and he was like, yeah, I think you're good. And he knew that like I was flying with my CFII now, and that's where I'd get all my instruction. But, he was so nice, and I called him and I was like, do you have a spot in the flying club? And he said, we're pretty full, but like, if you're friends with David, then yeah, like we'll make a spot for you. And so I just felt so fortunate with that. And then I just started reaching out to people in the flying club. We've got like a little group meet chat. And I kind of put aside the whole, like, get the ratings at the minimum hours. And I think that to me was like the best mindset shift, because one of the guys that I built some time with, he's not doing the CFI route. He works 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. and he flies for like 5 hours every day afterwards. Grandy's 23. So the kid just, he's got the energy to do it. But it kind of put it in my head where I'm like, I don't need to be hampered by like, if I get my commercial at 250 hours, like it doesn't really matter. Like we still need the hours. And so flying with different people, I just got all these different perspectives. And I think I enjoyed it so much, like learning from each person, that I was like, okay, I'm going to tailor this and work it in with doing my instrument training. So I'm going to do a lot of foggle time when I'm flying. These people can tell me, what they know and what they've learned. I can shoot approaches all over the state of Utah in different planes. Like some of them have VORs, some of them have ILS, some of them have the GPS. And so, yeah, it's just been a really cool journey so far.
I feel like you're less stressed on this portion.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you at least like, I at least understand like the concepts of an airplane. By no means am I, at that point ready to take 200 passengers, but yeah.
Sure. No, but also with your statement about, I don't have to get my commercial at 250 hours, like that. I feel like you've shed this yoke that has been just like weighing on you. And I feel like you probably had that with the private pilot. And
yeah, it was about 80 hours. So yeah, you definitely, like, you hear the stories and you're like, oh man, what's wrong with me? Like I got it at 40 or whatever. And yeah, none of it matters.
Dude, right? Listen, you want to talk to somebody that was on the struggle bus throughout flight school, you're talking to them right now. Like, it was so hard. I was miserable every single day. I didn't want to be a pilot at all.
Well, you fought through it.
Here we are.
Yeah, definitely. On that same note, I did like, I did kind of decide, time building's great, but flying circles in the sky it happens. It's part of it, but I wanted to do some cool flights and things like that. So I'm always looking for these opportunities. Like I'm going to hopefully join Angel Flights.
Mm-hmm.
I did this thing called Backcountry Santa, and we delivered packages down to southern Utah to the Native American reservations over Christmas. So it was like 80 backcountry bush planes doing a fly-in down in Monument Valley. And like, man, I looked at my iPad when we're coming into the pattern there, and it's just chaos, right? There's like 20 planes in the air, but they were all so structured and so good. And we land in Monument Valley, and like the locals are making like Navajo tacos for us and stuff. And yeah, I got my old flight instructor to do it with me. Obviously splitting time with people, makes it much more affordable. But it was so rewarding that I was like, man, any chance I get to fly somewhere for a purpose. I don't know if somebody's got a package they want to drop off. Maybe that's illegal. I'm not really sure. But, just doing things to break the norm, like I think it makes it so much more interesting.
I'll say it depends what you're delivering.
Yeah, that's true.
They make movies about that stuff. But you're like, that is the adventure of flying. You also live in a place where the adventure is, right?
Yeah. I feel very lucky for that.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
My little life in Atlanta, Georgia, does not lend to much backcountry flying.
Come on, you can fly over Peachtree Street, the next Peachtree Street.
You're so right. Oh my God, Georgia, man, what in the world? But I think, the ability to just switch around and do the things and the Angel Flight stuff is going to be so fun. Talk to me about how you lean towards that and why that appealed to you.
Yeah, so that one's still like in the works. I haven't actually, there's a certain amount of hours I need my instrument rating in order to do it. So I had to put a bookmark in it until after this rating. Just really kind of, social media gets you sometimes and you start seeing things. And Edward Norton, I think, has like an ad going on Instagram, and those algorithms just know what you're looking for. So yeah, I went down that rabbit hole and just saw that like, okay, like what I need is this many hours, and then I need to get my instrument rating. In the meantime, I did just join the Civil Air Patrol. So same kind of thing. I've got no military background. My wife was in the Army, but yeah, as far as like ranks and things like that, that's not really my thing. But yeah, I went to a meeting. I met with them, met with their chief pilot in this area, and I just met the hours. You need 200 hours of PIC time, and I'm at like 215 now. And so yeah, I'll get to like take some cadets up and show them just the basics of flight, and they do some search and rescue stuff. So yeah, anything to just kind of break the norm and like keep it interesting. Like I get super excited if I get to go like plan a flight somewhere that's not just like the 51 nautical miles away from my home airport to get cross country time. It's like, well, hey, I don't know, like they got cheap gas in Evanston. Like we could fly up to Wyoming, check that out, maybe, pop over to Price. And yeah, it's just, I think looking for ways to keep it fun and like not just grind away.
If this is your future career, there's plenty of grind. And there's the same airport all the time, and there's the same hotel every time, and then there's the same restaurant every time. And so, and just grab on to every awesome fun part of this, because it goes away.
And it's not, it's not a bad thing like down the road to have that. Like that's the goal, right? A little bit more like stability and know where you're at. But I mean, so many pilots I've talked to, like whenever I get a phone number, I've had friends that get phone numbers. They had like, they were having a neighborhood party, and she sent me a text the next day, like, hey, my neighbor flies for Delta. I don't know if we're allowed to name major airlines, but she's like, here's his number. Yeah. And I got his number, gave him a call. Turns out he's a Czech airman. He gave me all this knowledge and whatnot. And it's just like he said, and every other pilot I talked to said, like, enjoy this journey, like, and they're like, yeah, I haven't flown a single engine prop in, 6 years, and I don't even know if I could work the controls or whatever. And yeah, it's something that I'm just trying to embrace it, because this is definitely part of it. Like, hopefully I'll get to that point where I am staying at that same hotel, but the paychecks are kind of what I'm hoping for. And
I know.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing. I live in the pattern of my local airport, and I just see the flight schools and people banging out hours and the 172s flying over, and I'm thinking, man, that'd be so cool. But I have zero time to go have fun on that. And
Yeah.
because all my time is taken up by flying, so I can't go fly.
Yeah. What a bad problem to have, huh?
You know. But then you punch through the clouds and you're like, oh, so good.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Just got to remember to turn the anti-ice on.
Okay.
Put that in the back.
172 doesn't have that, so yeah, I'll remember that. Yeah.
But you're coming up on the instrument rating, right? So what are you thinking about? What are you expecting? Like, what are your threats?
Yeah, it's been a struggle to get DPEs. So that's another thing, not being at one of these structured flight schools. They get certain days where, these DPEs come in and they do the check rides and stuff. So my instructor was kind enough to reach out to the DPE, and like he got a day slot. So it's me and another guy in the flying club that are going to do it on the same day. Normally the check ride goes to the same airport, which is like pretty standard. And so I want to be prepared for the check ride, but also I want to make sure that I know how to actually shoot approaches and understand the concepts of instrument flying. So like I said, when I've been flying with other people, it's, throw the foggles on and go shoot a VOR approach, down in the middle of the desert kind of thing. So yeah, I feel prepared, but you still get the check ride jitters. It's like, are you ever fully prepared for a check ride?
Okay. How about this? Are you playing the check ride game from start to finish yet? Have you started thinking about preparing a flight, walking to the aircraft, doing the pre-flight, getting in, having your pubs out, like taxiing as if it were like some major airport, and going through those iterations step by step by step, like playing that game of like how you're a sniper and just kind of working through it?
I've done some mock check rides with my double I, and also with with the guy that's doing his check ride as well. But it always feels a little bit looser, right? A little bit nicer. Like, you forgot to, make sure that the ball was moving freely in the turn coordinator. So yeah, I definitely should hammer that home more. Do some like chair flying with that. I've got a little simulator. I got that yoke that you get. I borrowed one and been shooting approaches on here. But I do think you're right. Like going through all those steps is.
Have you ever watched videos of Blue Angels doing their brief?
Yeah, where they're in the room chair flying and they're all just
they got
on
their
point.
eyes closed. They're going through every single. Yeah, like that to me. That level of detail is what I need when I do all, like every check ride I do, like I do something similar to that, because I need this like step by step by step by step to get myself focused. Anyway,
yeah,
that might be helpful.
No, I think that sounds great. Yeah, if it works, it works. I'm doing flashcards, and I'm, got all the different ones at Pilot's Cafe and Flight Insight and all the things. I'm watching mock check rides on YouTube, but you always wonder too, like, are you doing the right things? That's always the question in the back of the head. What
are you doing for ground school stuff?
So I did I just did online through King's.
Okay.
John and Martha King. Man, that is entertaining stuff. I don't know if you ever got to do that. So I did the online ground school, went and, did Shepherd Air. I did like the steps that people talked about, and went and took my writ and did fairly well on the writ, and got I missed 2 questions. So I felt good about that. But I've got my binder of notes that I took through ground school. So I'm looking through that, and then I'm comparing that to these other programs that are online, and just seeing like what steps I might have missed on my ground school studying versus what they have up.
Yeah. You could talk to your CFII. I think Sporties does like a free ground school for a lot of different stuff if you're a CFII. And so you just put your certificate number in after you sign up. But that might be a resource for like some free stuff to expand your team a little bit.
Definitely. That's a good call.
Yeah. I met John King randomly one day. It was so weird. Like,
oh man, is he as cool in person as he is?
He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. Like, oh man, look at you. You're like,
dude, they just seem like the
you're
coolest
the guy from
people.
1992. That's amazing.
Yeah. And like the updated videos, when I first watched the video, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is from the 70s. And I was like, wait a second. So is the airplane I'm flying. So this is perfect. Like
what I love, but also it's 1,000% relevant.
Oh, it is completely,
Wild.
completely. Yeah.
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 That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of, how it goes with like being in this flying club is I do my own online ground school. I'm going to do a session with my double I tomorrow. We're going to fly on Wednesday. It's snowing right now. So, we'll see when we fly. But yeah,
It's not wintertime anymore, right?
Yeah, it wasn't yesterday. Yesterday we were wearing t-shirts, but yeah, it's back today. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one thing that's been, I don't have the same structured route. And I did start flying with a friend who flew ATP, switched to Cornerstone. And so these are much bigger flight programs. And I did go fly with her one time and I was shooting approaches and she just like raked me over the coals on my altitude. She's like, you're all over the place. You were 125 feet above. Now you're 80 feet below. And I was like, oh my gosh, like everybody else has been like super nice to me. And I feel good after the flights. And after I flew with her, I was like, man, like, what am I doing wrong? And so like took down some notes, asked her for some feedback. And I noticed that like I have to be definitely more of a self-starter in order to take this route. There's no way if I'm just like, hey, I wonder if somebody's going to write to me on Wednesday to see if I want to go fly. Like, no, I've got to write to people. And it's every Sunday I book out the week and I'm like, who wants to fly? And if somebody's iffy, I'm like, okay, like I'm booking it with so-and-so. If they cancel, I'll fly with you.
You bring up a really, really good point because that girl lets you know that you're kind of living in a trap a little bit. You're living with friends.
Yeah.
And a DP is not a friend. And so precision matters. So maybe that's part of the brief for the friends. Like, listen, I want to do everything 110% by the book. And if I don't, I need you to refocus me quick.
Definitely.
That's probably the biggest trap is just, I don't want to say getting lazy, but getting lazy, right?
Yeah. Complacent for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially if it's like, it was a pretty good approach. Like, there's no risk. There's no, like, they're just along for the ride, banging out hours too. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Way to go.
Yeah. I'm flying with her today at noon, depending on the weather. The weather's totally different up here than it is in Salt Lake. And so it could be sunny down there while it's snowing up here. But yeah. And I've made it very clear, like, do not be nice. Like, make this awkward.
Tell her I said, hell yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I will. She might hitch up to be a guest. She's got a wild story too about plane crash and trainings and whatnot. So for another day.
I want to have her on the show to talk about hammering you.
Oh, she would enjoy that for sure.
All right, that's cool. Okay, so you are not full. We're very clear that you're not full timing this, zero to heroing it. So how are you paying for this? How are you spending your time?
So I'm bartending 3 days a week. I was bartending 4 days a week. 3 days a week I bartend, and then I try to fly at least 3 times a week. Try to kind of offset the costs. I want my bartending paycheck to cover the Venmo amount that I have to send at the end of the month to the flight club owner. Just trying to hold steady and not dip into savings too much.
Does your wife work?
She does. She's a nurse.
Okay.
And she is the sugar mama of the family and very supportive, which makes it, all that much easier. Like if she was questioning anything or whatnot, but I mean, if I don't fly for 2 or 3 days, she's like, what are you doing? Like get up there, get it done.
Yeah. So. Okay. So she covers like living costs.
Yes.
You work to supplement flying costs.
Yes.
That's like the reason I think that's important is because there are like the bizarro mirror image of you is listening to this right now, right?
For sure. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how the hell am I going to do this?
Yeah. And I actually have I have a spreadsheet detailed down to the dollar of what I've spent. And so my total cost so far since starting everything is $34,411.79.
And what did that get you?
That got me to the 275.4 hours, got me a private pilot's license, got me a cool used iPad, got me a Sentry ADS-B receiver. Got me a ton of experience. The private was just around $20,000. So I'm really like $14,000 or $15,000 into like 200 hours of flight time almost. Just like kind of priceless experience. So.
Yeah, that seems like a big number, but that's a very doable number. That's a you can do that bartending number.
Yes, exactly. That's about what I think an annual salary is for a 3-day-a-week bartender. So yeah, it works out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been great. And yeah, I love bartending. Nothing wrong with it, but it also helps keep me motivated when I go into work and I just am slinging beers, which I love to do. Once again, I'm not ragging on this industry. It's been great to me, but I'm like, okay, I'm 20 years into this. Like, so halfway through my shift, I'm like, man, I can't wait till I'm sleeping at that same airport or sleeping at that same hotel, flying into that same airport, and it's just,
Listen,
yeah,
don't knock it. Cause I just last week flew with a guy who still bartends.
yeah. And that's what I was saying. I think I might do it one day a week. Like, I don't know. It's great, but as a supplemental, when it is for the income, I'm like, okay, I've got this other goal that I'm working towards, and it helps kind of keep me motivated, especially when it's a Friday night and half my clientele is Delta pilots because I live up in Park City, 30 miles from Salt Lakes Airport.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm like, okay, I want to be sitting on that side on a Friday night talking about my flight to Jackson. Or
listen, man, I can't afford to live in Park City. Lord have mercy.
Neither can I, man. We got in at the right time. So
that's amazing. We'll never move, dude. That is so cool.
Yeah, we got lucky. We bought our place during COVID. Yeah, I think I told you we were living in our van, and then we moved out and bought a 1-bedroom condo, and it's our little paradise up here in Park City. So,
oh man, that's so cool. That is so cool. You are like, not only are you cool there, but like you're also cool because you're a big time runner, right?
I run, big time runner. That's a tough one. In a town like this, everybody's an Olympian. But yes, I did an ultra marathon last year. That was one of my goals. And yeah, so I completed that. It's called the Mid-Mountain Marathon. It cuts across like the middle of our ski resorts here. And yeah, I actually did really well. I finished like 19th out of a couple hundred people. And yeah, didn't expect it. I was just trying to finish. And so because I finished in like the top 20, I was like, oh, cool. Like that box has been checked. So now I go for like shorter runs.
How long is a shorter run? Hold up. How long is the ultra marathon? How long is a shorter run?
Ultra marathon was 31 miles. Shorter runs are like 6 or 7 miles. So nothing. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, there might be something else in the works. I don't know. My wife's a big biker, so I might shift over to doing some biking with her.
She road biking in Park City?
Mountain biking. Yeah. And I think she's at the gym right now on the elliptical. So
good.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I'm a big mountain biking friend.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Let's go.
But I think having those, it did help. Like I was training for that race while I was getting my private, and it creates a structure and a schedule that you sometimes need. So it's, if you're sitting around and not feeling super motivated and then you go for a run, it's like, okay, all right, now I got to study my ground school or do whatever. It helps for me at least, to kind of be like running those side by side, training for one thing and studying.
Yeah. And that the structure you're allowed to get with that, right? Because you're like, okay, well, I have to work this block, so let's work our way back. I need to study and I need to run. And so do you study first, then run, or run first, then study?
Man, I mean, I think you try and combine both too. I mean, I listen to like Jason Shappert's IFR book, so I've listened to that 12 times now, and I think if there's anything I can listen to while running, try and do 2 birds with 1 stone kind of thing, and then come back home and normally flip through the flashcards, maybe do a little flight on my simulator kind of thing. Always like, you can take 1 day off, but don't take 2 days off. That's my wife's whole training plan. And so that's kind of where I'm at with the studying as well.
That's good. Yeah. When I was doing my interview prep, when I was as a client of Spitfire, I would listen to the academics on my runs, and that's how I would do it. And I knew how far I could get by the time it was done. I'd switch to the next one. And that was, every single day I would do that. The same thing. Like it just gets ingrained in you. It's so good, especially if you're going like 6-7 miles. It probably takes you 10 minutes to run it. So
yeah, 12 minutes. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, dude, these are like, man, such good points. And also your wife's a mountain biker, so she's awesome.
Yeah. She crushes.
Dude, that's awesome. Well, Tyler, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate you just being willing to talk about the difficulties of flying, the failures, the successes, and how you fight through it. So I'm excited. I want to have you back on after your instrument check ride and talk about how that went.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to.
Sweet, man. All right. Yeah. Well, keep crushing, study hard, be like the Blue Angels. It's going to be good.
Will do. I'm going to do a lot of chart flying for the next 2 weeks. So.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the show, my man. I'll catch you later.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, pilots, that's a wrap on this episode. And I know what you're thinking. You need to make yourself a little bit better. So how do you make yourself a little bit better? You tighten up your resume. So here's what I want you to do. Go over to my website, spitfireelite.com/podcast, and you can download my free resume template. It is tight, organized, and it's the perfect pilot resume. It's just something I like to do for the pilot group, and it is free to use. So go over there, spitfireelite.com/podcast, and download your free resume template. While you're over there, look at all the services that we offer. Lots of great interview prep, lots of great application review. Everything you need to be a professional pilot is right there. spitfireelite.com/podcast. Thanks, and I'll see you on the next episode.